Welcome to Viada's Tiny House Village, and we are live on Facebook, Soul Purpose Healing. My friend L.A. Davis, and I have a lot to share about unhoused living, whether you're in a car, a tent, or a storage unit. Powerful lessons for you today. And we're going to have our friend Mr. Beasley joining us, who has lots of wisdom. So let me just welcome my tiny house village, and we'll be right back. All right. We are back, and joining me today is L.A. Davis of Solar Home TV, No Bills to Pay TV, TikTok. How are you today, L.A.?
Fine, fine.
Okay, let me turn you up a little bit. Say that again.
Doing well.
All right. Why are we here? Why are we here? It's Thursday afternoon. It is hot as heck in Florida. It's 90 over 90 degrees. And I decided to come outside because this is my favorite place to be, whether it's hot or not. It's in nature. And my tiny house is over there, and I'm here on my son's patio, and I'm half dressed, so it's good because it's hot. And there's no air right here on the patio. But you and I, right, both noticed there is a substantial increase in unhoused or homeless people in the United States. Would you agree, LA? What are you seeing, or what are you reading or hearing?
Well, everything you just said, you have there's a proliferation of homeless people or houseless people that they can't find affordable housing, so they're living in cars, vans, some volunteer. So the affordable housing, and to live in the larger cities, it seems like you have to become knocking at the door.
Okay, you're coming in and out, in and out. You say that again because you kind of stopped.
Okay. Well, people looking for affordable housing. Can you
Okay. Say okay.
could you did you hear that?
You're people looking for affordable housing, right?
Right. People looking for affordable housing.
Okay, we're waiting for Beasley. Mr. Beasley's going to join us. He's going to call me back. So I realized as I watched so many YouTube videos of people living in their cars. Whoa. And people transforming vans, RVs, putting mattresses in their RVs, vans for a permanent like house, and then the storage units. That was a big surprise to me, is people renting storage units. I mean, there's a woman on YouTube who set up her whole living room in the storage unit. She got her dresser, her mattress, her cosmetic area, her mirror. She got everything set up like it was a room in her house, a storage unit. I am amazed at the creativity. But what I really see is these are important lessons for these people who are in this situation. You know, it's really about simplicity. You're at the top of simplicity when you have to live in your car, a tent, or a storage unit, or on the grass by the tree.
Beasley from It's My House.
Okay. We got Beasley joining us. Beasley, your speaker's open. I'm just whenever you're ready to chime in, your speaker's open. Okay, welcome, Mr. Beasley. How are you today?
I guess I'm doing okay for an old man.
Okay, well, we're looking for some wisdom today as we talk about the important lessons living in your car, your tent, or storage unit. I'm going to say number one, the most important lesson is to protect your health. Because if you don't have your health and you have to live in a car or tent or storage unit, the stress of that new, simpler environment could kill you. Okay. And whether you have to be in the heat of Arizona, 100 degrees, and you don't have a house or a roof over your head, but you're in a car, tent, or storage unit, or you're in Chicago where it's a lot cooler right now, you're out of the freezing temperature, your health is number one. So I want to advise number one, the most important lesson, guard your health, which means you have to find a way to be content in this situation and use your brain to change it if you need to, or change it if you want to. I want to give you an example. I spoke to a man who's in prison yesterday. He called me because I sent him a letter. He wrote me back and he said, can you send me your phone number so we can talk? He gets 15 minutes in using this phone card in a prison up in Wisconsin. This man, he's 51 years old. I was surprised at how content, no anxiety, no depression, nothing about his situation. He's like, I'm not anxious about getting out of here. I'm going to be in here probably till 2037, I think he said. I'm like, I'm counting like at 2037. That's like 12 more years, no anxiety whatsoever. And he's becoming a chess master. You'll love this, LA. In prison, he has won several chess tournaments. So he found something to grow in chess, number one, and live in his passion. And he has been in many fights. And by the way, he's in there for rape. That's a whole nother story. But he's living a passion of learning chess, playing chess, and he's growing in so many ways. But there was not one ounce of discontent, depression, or anxiety, none of that. And he's been in prison probably for 3 years or so, maybe more. So my first suggestion, the important lesson is guard your health. Do not get into depression, sadness, anxiety, fear, none of that. You have to find a way in your car, your tent, storage unit, wherever you find yourself, to protect your health and maintain positive optimism and a plan. Let's say a plan. Beasley, do you have anything to add to that?
Maybe I think I'm thinking. I think when you look at the homeless situation, you can compare it to the black race in America. Both of them are parallel in what needs to be done and what can be done, and how the homeless people got there. And I say that with this. Yes, your health is important, but the first thing that has to happen is the mindset has to be changed, and it has to be an education segment added on to whomever you want to help. And I say that for this reason. A lot of people that are homeless are like black people that don't want to be helped. And the other thing is, once you deal with the mindset, then you go with the plan. That's how I feel about the whole thing, Beata.
Okay, there you go. Number one, I'm saying guard your health. Number two, Beasley said change your mindset, change your thinking. Whatever lifestyle you were living before you had to live in your car, your tent, or your storage unit, 180 degrees. It's time to change that lifestyle, right? I mean, if you were used to shopping at Macy's or even putting everything on your credit card, going to work 8 to 5 and 9 to 5. That has to change now if you are now not able to pay rent, because now you have to look at a different lifestyle. You don't want to keep living the same lifestyle you were living to get that you got in this situation, living in your car. And we know the factors that are affecting all homeless or unhoused is inflation. The cost of rent has gone up everywhere. So LA, do you have any thoughts so far on the lessons, the important lessons, living in your car, tent, or storage unit? Are you frozen again? Looks like you're frozen. LA is not moving. LA, are you there? You might have to come back in. Or LA, can you hear me? Well, we got LA's picture. LA, maybe you have to type
All
in.
right, yeah.
Can't. You're
No,
not
no,
moving.
I can see you now. Can you hear me now or see
I can
me?
hear you. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, because it was buffering on this, and I don't know what's going on. And it's
Okay.
real hot today. Even the phone's hot.
Okay.
Now, what did you say?
Important. We've got two very important lessons. I say guard your health, whatever it takes to stay out of depression, anxiety, fear, because if you get sick, you're not going to be able to do too much of anything. Your health is your wealth. And then Beasley says, change your mind. I say, amen to that, because whatever lifestyle you thought you could live in before this happened, and now you can't pay rent, you can't afford rent other than a car, or tent, or a storage unit. What other lessons? Those are the first two, LA.
Well, like Beasley stated, Brother Beasley stated, mindset. So I'm thinking you don't need, like we did a podcast on when Blog Talk was about 2 years ago. Yeah, something like that, 2 years ago, not quite 3. There were 3 black ladies that lived in Metro Atlanta, and they ran across 97 acres of land about 2 hours outside of Atlanta. And they organized a group called the Freedom Georgia Initiative. 19 black families bought that land. So I think there needs to be more of that done, where we organize in small groups and we our own towns, or village, whatever you want to call it. And that does require a change of but that way you're going to have to create your own affordable living, because in these big, like it's really not too much you can do to create affordable living.
Okay, so number 3, we're saying find small groups, develop social capital. Can we say that? Develop some social capital. That means you're going to have to connect to other people who have the mind like you to build something different than living in a car or your storage unit or a tent. That means, okay, here's the thing. If you don't want to sleep in your car for long because it's uncomfortable, you don't like sleeping in the storage unit, then you have to, if your health is good, you can sleep 4 hours, get out of that situation and go to the library, watch YouTube videos all day of people who've been successfully sleeping in their car and got out of that situation. Go find places, find a church group that you can connect to, where you might find people who want to buy land, who want to start something new, but you have to get out of that storage unit, car or tent, and move around and meet new people. If you haven't met some people yet who want to do something different, buy land, now's the time. Okay.
Right. As a matter of fact, something that Brother Beasley and I talked, we had maybe 1 or 2, no more than probably 2 conversations on this, but we need to bring it back. So I'm using this opportunity now. It's set up like the military. The military, they can set up a community like So I think when you form these little groups, you plan it out where, okay, here's the spot, and then deployment. If he can hear me.
You keep going in and out. Is your Wi-Fi okay?
It seems to be okay on this end.
Are you on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my, as usual, I'm on the phone, and it's a new phone at that.
Okay, Beasley, can you hear both of us okay?
Yes. LA keeps going in and out, but I can understand them, yes.
Okay, so continue, LA. Let's keep trying.
You know what? Now I was asking Beasley down because we need to get into organized deployments where we can set up our own communities in a relatively short period of time. But he's actually I've done it on a volunteer basis with the Department of Energy. Because he's in the military. So, Brother Beasley, could you explain what deployment is of setting up a community from scratch?
Yes. When I was in the military, we used to go out on deployments. And the thing is, what happens is, I think the conversation started with people sleeping in tents. What happened is, you go in and you lay out a plan. And once you lay out that plan, then what you can do is you can start off by really determining how many people wants to do this. And you can go in and really set up a living area with your ability to set up latrines or either toilets and showers and a cooking area, a mess area. And depending on where you are and what the weather conditions are, you can set that up until you can do something, say semi-permanent or permanent. That's the way you do it. And you can do that probably within 24 to 72 hours that you can do it. But you have to find a land area first. And then you can do all of those things. And the one thing that's missing here, LA and Viana, you got to have some money. And the best way that people can get money, if you can't get a grant or you can't get any support from any charities or the local governments, I suggested to LA that, hey, number one, you find out how many people are interested, because some people might not be interested. Number two is, what you do is, in all of these places where there's homelessness, they have temporary hiring services, because you got to have money. And you find out how many people are willing to do this and volunteer out for temporary hiring services, where you get paid every day until you can go out and get that piece of property that LA is talking about. And land outside of the cities are fairly reasonable when you're talking about acreage. And it doesn't take much to set up a tent city and to go in and set up the facilities like we used to do in the military. But you got to start off, number one, with people who wants to do this. Number two is who's willing to go in and pool their money together, like LA always say, a wolf pack or a group. And then you go in and you search an area outside of the cities, if you're in the cities, or if you're close by small towns with a rural area, find out how many people want to do this. And that's the key to the whole thing. That's what I meant by mindset. Because some people that are homeless have mental issues, or either they have dependency issues. So you have to sort these people out first before you do anything to try and help.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know whether you two agree with that or not, but that would be my first step.
Okay, so we're not looking.
I agree.
I'm not looking to go out and find homeless people I can help. This video is to help those who listen, who are in their car, tent, or storage, to understand the lessons that they're learning being in this situation. You're in your car, a tent, or a storage unit. Do you want to change that situation? If you do, we're trying to help you realize first and foremost, this is a life lesson. If you end up living in your car, tent, or you got a important life lesson to learn here. I'm not going out there trying to get all the homeless people together and find land. It's your job to do that. Now, how do you do that? You have to go to the library. You have to go to a church. You have to go to a park and start talking to people, meeting people, and letting them know, and not being ashamed to talk about your situation. Because as you express gratitude for wherever you are, then the universe is going to help you meet the right people who might help you change your situation. Okay? This is a time of accountability, responsibility. When you end up in your car, your tent, or storage unit, you cannot be dependent on anybody else. Now, as Beasley said, you got to have money. So if you have a job, number one, you're blessed. You're blessed if you have a job. If you don't have a job, but you have some type of income, then you're still blessed, because you can still find a way to use that money in a different, more frugal way, more simple, living a simpler life where you can put some money aside, or find some other people who are willing to put all the money together to find some land, to find a house to rent together. This has to be the lesson. Is you have to learn how to communicate and gather and meet with other people now, if you want to get out of the situation. LA, you have a point to make?
Yeah. So learn how to do this. If you're on TikTok, we'll be having daily sessions on TikTok for people who want to actually learn how to do this. So you can find me on TikTok at No Bills to Pay TV. And that's No Bills, the number two, not TO, but the number, No Bills 2, the number 2, Pay TV. Just me on that, and then I'll send you out a notice when we'll have daily classes on how you can actually learn how to do the stuff we're talking about, find a land, build a place, and that type of stuff.
Thank you. And if you come to my show every Friday, Health and Wellbeing with Beata, I'm going to coach you on how to stay healthy. Because as I said, that's number one. If you lose your health, you can't do much of anything. So the reason I believe the Creator has put people in these situations, living in your car, your tent, your storage, because your lifestyle was no longer sustainable for the society that we live in. What's the society we live in right now? We live in a psychopathic government society. The government is more concerned about dropping bombs on other countries, and the government is pulling services out. They're taking out the Section 8. In 2 years, you're not going to be able to depend on the government. They're changing food stamps. You're not going to be having your food stamps and able to buy groceries and or junk food and do what you want and then fly off to Mexico and have a vacation. That's changing. So the reality is the society, the government, everything is no longer in your favor the way you've been used to living, okay? So now is the time, what we call psychology of adjustments. If you're in your car, your tent, you are blessed because your life just got simpler. No more rent, no more groceries filling up the refrigerator. You can't do that no more. And that's what I see a lot of people have been doing in my time, cleaning people's houses. They're stuffing their refrigerator. They're watching TV all day, being entertained. They're not learning anything. They're just being entertained. And then boom, you lose your job. Now what do? You can't sit and watch TV all day because you're not going to be able to pay the rent. You're going to have to get busy learning, adjusting to a new lifestyle. And that's why we're sharing some important lessons. Don't get depressed. Don't get anxious. Just focus on changing your lifestyle. That's what it's all about. And if you go to YouTube every day and put in living in my car, living in a tent, homeless, whatever. You're going to find hundreds of lessons to help you live in that lifestyle without stress, or change that situation by following some of the tips we're giving you here, meeting people, gathering at your. I strongly suggest you find a church. Maybe there's a church out there that has a homeless a homeless ministry, and they can guide you. If you're not in a church right now and you're in a car tent, now's the time to join a church and see how good they are in a homeless ministry.
Sister Viana,
go ahead.
If you're homeless, that's the last thing you want to do is join a church.
That may be for some, yeah.
Yeah, and I say this, and I say that to say this. You have a lot of people in church that are almost one step away from being homeless.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when I started off in this conversation, I said, homeless people are just like the black race in the United States. And the reason why I said that is because of some of the things that we keep mentioning. And we're saying the same thing. We're just trying to get to the solution from a different direction. What happens is, America has convinced people that you pull yourself up by your own bootstraps as an individual. And that is the wrong way to go. You need to find like-minded people,
right,
that is willing to make a change. And I say that to say this.
Right.
We talked about finding land. That's one solution. But Booker T. Washington said, cast your buckets down where you are.
Right.
And if you're in the cities, there's a whole lot of empty buildings in the city and look, homeless people do have skills. And the thing is, you find those people that want to make that change, and you're going to have to go out and do some recruiting. If I'm homeless and I can find 20 or 30 people, or either 10 people that feel the same way I feel, then number one, you lay out the plan. And the plan is you got to have money. And most homeless people don't have money. And the best way to do that, if you don't have a skill and you're down on your luck, you find the nearest temporary hiring service and you pool that money together until you can find work, study work, and then you go in. And I'll say this, if you can find an empty building and the city owns that building, you approach the city and you go in and ask them, hey, look, can I go in and take over this building? And go in and use the various skills that you have to go in and make that building livable. Number two is, look, when these immigrants come in town, you don't never see one Mexican or one immigrant trying to do something by themselves. They come in as a group. And they go into a certain particular area, and that's where, hey, you can criticize them all you want to, but sometimes it's 10 and 15 people living in one house. If you can go in and put that money together, hey, it might not be the best you can find, but the main thing is, hey, look, at least you got a roof over your head until you can figure something else out. But the number one thing is you got to find a group. Because, hey, if I'm living in my car by myself, then it means that, hey, look, I got there because I'm an individual. I need to find some other people that's in the same condition that I'm in, and then you can do what you need to do, whether it means taking over a building, fixing it up, or going ahead on and buying some land and then living out there in a tent until you can do better and camp out. But the main thing is, hey, if you go into a church, that reverend is looking out for his family because he or she is not even looking out for the flock that they're pastoring.
Yeah, I don't think all churches are like that, Beasley. There might be some that are different. I agree that most churches these days are not really sincerely following the principles of Christ, which is Christianity, and a lot of churches are not following the principles of Christianity. Do unto others as you do unto yourself. But I'm saying, for instance, you're living in a storage unit in the inner city, and there's a church 1 block away. Are you going to look and see if that church can be a resource for you to get back on your feet? I would. I'd try everything within, especially if you don't have a car. Let's say you don't have a car, you got to take the bus transportation to work. Okay, you do have a job, but you don't have a car. So you're taking the bus, and every day you pass in a church that's near your storage unit. I would stop in there. Maybe, if nothing else, they might be feeding the homeless. Okay, so we'll go back to guard your health. You need some food. So at least you can get a good meal or two at this church and then keep going. But if you find out in discernment, this pastor is not going to help me move out of this storage unit, he's not going to help me buy land, he's not going to help me get a job, then just keep moving. But at least go there and get a meal. That's what the church is supposed to be good for.
Well, Beata, there's a church on every corner in these cities.
Look, some of them, yes.
And look, where I live at, there's a church, there's 2 or 3 churches in one little community. And they see homeless people every day. And they have not reached out to those people. And I said that, and look, yeah, there might be 1 out of maybe 1,000 churches that have that program. But now, I'm just telling you now, all you got to do is, the proof is in the eating of the pudding. These people in churches see these people on the street. They see them in bad condition. And not one of those churches on every corner has stepped up to say, hey, look, let's get together as a denomination. Because, look, most churches are in a denomination.
What city are you in, Beasley?
I'm in a small town called New Bern.
New Bern,
and the thing is, that's in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And look, there's homeless people right here. Now, they have a soup kitchen.
Right.
They have a little small area where they can sleep at maybe 1 or 2 nights out of the week. But no one in these denominations, whether it's AME, AMEZ, COGIC, or Pentecostal Holiness, have come together in their group and said, look, we got a bunch of homeless people here. We got 30 churches. Let's put our money together to get a building for them until we house those people. They haven't done it. And you know what? I got news for you. Here's a news flash. They aren't going to do it because that's not really where their mindset is.
Well, then that's not a church. That's just a group of people getting together to sing and preach. But that's not what I would call a church then. Because
bingo.
That's the bingo. So every person has to have discernment today to recognize who is going to help you get out of your situation. Discernment comes from prayer, fasting, and meditation, hugging trees. That's what I do. I just took a walk in my neighborhood before, and I hugged every big tree that said, come to me, come to me. I'm hugging trees all the time. And I get strength from that because I know the roots of that tree are bringing up energy to touch me if I touch it. So all of these things, I'm going to help you every Friday to maintain your health by remembering who you are. You're a soul and a body that has antennas that go up to the cosmic universe that can help you, guide you to get out of your situation. But again, you have to have your health. Now, if you're living in a town and there's churches everywhere and nobody's willing to help you, you need to be able to move out of that town, because that's not even a community that's healthy to me. A healthy community these days is where everybody in the community is looking out for their neighbors. That do unto your neighbors as you. So another lesson, here we go. Move. Be ready to move out of your unhealthy, toxic neighborhood, community, house, whatever. You need to be flexible enough to move. If you're living in a car, wherever, and you're finding that the whole community is all about themselves, they don't care about you, blah, blah, blah. Even if your family has thrown you out, blah, blah, you need to be able to move. I don't care if you hitchhike down to Florida or hitchhike to some other neighborhood and try out, especially if you do have money, then you take that money or whatever you do have. If you have a job, then go to another neighborhood. That's how you adjust to your situation, being able to move. You can't be thinking you're going to stay in the same place with unhealthy neighbors, unhealthy churches. Nobody's willing to help each other out. It's time to go. LA, go ahead. Go ahead, Beasley.
But look, Viata, I'm going to give you something radical.
Go ahead.
If you got a car, let me give you this one. Would you be willing to sell that car for what it's worth to get out of your situation?
Why would you do that? Because that's your house. Some people, that's all they have.
Because the thing is this. If I could sell that car and it would help me get a more permanent dwelling, then I will sell that car. That's the only asset I have.
Okay, but how are you going to pay rent? The problem why people are in their car and unhoused is the rent is too high. People are not able to find a decent housing that they can afford. That's the problem.
That's my point. The thing is, if you find 10 other people that is in a temporary gets in a temporary hiring service, that car will be a down payment for you to get an apartment, and then you could go in and pay the rent until you could get something more permanent.
Yeah, but
all I'm telling you is,
how long is your car pay, the money you get for selling your car? How long is that going to last for rent?
It'll last long enough temporarily for you. Well, first I'd get together with people that's willing to go in and make a sacrifice. That's the first thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I mean by mindset. Hey, look, if you're willing to go in and change your situation, it starts with the mind first.
Right.
And then look, the other thing is you mentioned something that's very key, social capital.
Right.
Hey, look, let's all get together on a social pact, PACT, and go in and write up a contract that we're going to do this to better ourselves. And anybody that skips out of this thing, then what happens is they're going to have to pay the group. But first you got to get some money. The mindset's first, then you got to get some money, and you got to get a group of people that are willing to change their condition. And that's what I meant by homeless people are just like black folk in America. We're not willing to go in and make a sacrifice to change our condition. And that's the point I was making, because all of these things we were suggesting, the one thing that you need is a willing mind, and you need money. And until you do that, hey, look, it starts with the man in the mirror first, or the woman in the mirror. And if you can't do that, then your situation is going to exist continually. Okay,
so let's just assume these people we're talking to today have a job. They have a job, and they're going to keep their job, but the problem was their income was not sufficient to pay for an apartment or rent, whatever. So that's why they are now living in their car, or they have set up a tent in a location where the home, or they have decided to have a storage unit, but they still have a job and they still have their car. So those are the two things that are going to enable them to make changes, their car and their job. Because at least if they can't find an apartment, if they can't get a tent or store, they can sleep in their car, which is what so many people are learning to do these days. Senior citizens, young people, they are learning how to put a mattress in the car and set it up so they can have their deodorant, their bar, go to a gym to take a shower every day, change their clothes, go to work. People are really being creative, and I applaud them for at least having the mind, like you said, to create the situation they need to keep their job and keep their car. Because most people don't want to lose their car, because then they're on the bus or they're waiting for transportation. So let's assume most people are going to keep their car and keep their job if they have it. So then the next step we're trying to help you do is, number one, maintain your health as much as you can. That may mean you only get one meal a day. So let's just make that meal go as far as you can. You're going to have to budget to, if you couldn't pay your rent, but you can have a car and a job, then you're going to have to budget. It's time to cut out some of the food. This is another lesson that we want to give you. If you're in your car and you can't pay rent, your food budget has to decrease. If you're going to save money, for instance, to get out of this situation, food budget, clothes budget, entertainment budget, all that out the door, gone. You have to now write down, decide what are your essentials, one meal a day maybe. And we're not even talking about children if children are in this situation. We're just hoping, we're just giving you some lessons if you're a single person living in your car, tent, or storage unit. And if you do have children, either way, you're going to have to figure out, if you don't have family that can help you, how to live on the budget that you now have that you can't afford rent. So we're just trying to give some lessons here and help you not to get depressed or discouraged, because you're blessed now to live a simpler life. And your response to this situation is how you're going to come out of it with blessings and maybe even write a book, because that's what some people are doing.
Well, look, Viata, let me say this, because we're I'm hogging the conversation. LA used to, at the beginning of his program on Blog Talk, used to talk about 9 hands or 9 people, ever what have you, where these Hispanics bought a foreclosure house in the city.
9 friends.
Not 9 friends.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they got together, bought that house, and they fixed it up. And what happened is they had a dwelling. So now what happened? I'm going somewhere with this. What happened is, every Monday here, I go to the courthouse to find foreclosures or either houses up for taxes. And what happened is, I bidded on 2 or 3 of them. And what happened is, when you have a pool of money, you can compete for those houses. In fact, LA used to be in the housing business, and he can share this with you, where in some cities where he was invested in, he could buy a house for $5 and fix it up. And you have those types of situations where you could do it or either flip it to get you some extra money to buy land in the rural area. All we're doing is we're trying to show people that there's ways, even in their most depressed situation, where they can go in and do things to change their situation. And I'll get off and let LA and you guys do the rest of the talking, but I'll listen.
LA, I remember that 9 friends, that was a powerful lesson teaching that we listened to many times. The 9 friends renovated a house overnight almost. I mean, but when you have enough people, and that's what we encourage anyone who's in this situation, unhoused in your car, tent, or storage, you have to get to know people who can help you along this journey out of this situation. But in the meantime, I don't call it a depressed situation. I call it a simplified lifestyle you've been placed into to test your ability to recover, to respond, to find answers, to find solutions. You're not depressed, but you're in a simplified situation that you have to give up a lifestyle that put you in this in the first place. LA, I thank you for the 9 friends video. Where did it go? What happened to it? You don't play that anymore, huh?
Not on Blog Talk. Well, none of us are on Blog Talk anymore. So.
Okay. But is that a YouTube video you used to play?
Oh, yeah, I got that off of YouTube. It wasn't called 9 Friends. I called it 9 Friends, but it had another title, but I got it off of YouTube.
So it's a matter of finding new friends. I just can't imagine that. I can't imagine. People have to sleep in their car, tent, or storage unit, and they have no friends. That's what the situation is. Either there's a mental illness with this person when nobody wants to be dealing with them, nobody wants to make friends with them, so that's why they're on their own in their car, tent, or storage, or they just have not stirred up inside of themselves the ability to make new friends. Okay. They haven't used their mind to make new friends. And that's why I say go to the church, see if there's anybody there. If it's not, if it's unhealthy, if nobody absent, go to another church or go to some social event in the community and make friends. That's what you have to do, right?
True, but a lot of people don't. Let's look at the American culture. The American culture promotes be an individualist. Okay, number one. Number two, most people developing social skills to develop social capital is a skill. And then that has, but for instance, the social services office. Now, I'm not knocking social services or anything like that, but people that go to the social services office typically are socially bankrupt. There's nobody that they can go to get a place to stay, to get a meal to eat. And then, so on a municipal level, the social services, but at the social services office, they're not teaching you how to build your own house. They're not teaching you how to grow your own food. They're not even teaching you how to organize as a community. I'll give you an example. I got a friend of mine up in the DMV, Washington, D.C. area, and he's partnered up with 3 Ukrainians. Okay. They came from a war-torn country, Ukraine, and they've done probably about in the last 3 to 4 weeks, $20,000 just on weekends selling stuff, clothes, shoes, household items, because they basically, and we're talking about a small wolf pack, 4 people. So the individual thing is like, so you've got basically to get out of you don't have to be homeless. To get in a better financial situation, you're going to have to team up with other people.
Yes.
And that's the skill.
Yes. That like,
needs to be taught.
Yeah. And this is a lesson for our children, our youth. All of this going on in our country today, the unhoused situation, people losing their jobs. I saw a video yesterday, something like 130,000 women have lost their jobs this year. Black women, especially. This was a woman, Karen Hunter, or Sabby is another one. She did a video on how many Black women have lost their jobs this year. Hello. Your job is not secure in any way, shape, or form this year for many people. And that's another reason why you got to find your way to be an entrepreneur these days. And that is, in fact, something this new man that Trump has put in place. His job is to get people off welfare. That's what I read. I forget his name, but it's a Black guy working for Trump now. And his job is to get people out of the welfare mind. And is that not overdue? It's like I hope he's gentle about it, but some people need to be kicked off of that. But the government actually put people in that situation, telling them no man in the house and all that. We know that history. But now somebody's going to have to force you to get off of welfare because we have become addicted to this lifestyle of depending on Uncle Sam. So the important lesson for all of us is don't depend on Uncle Sam for anything, because look at what's happening. Losing your job. You can't find a house to live in. You can't afford the rent. Time to become your own boss. Sovereignty and all that has to kick in right now. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable, frustrated, anxious, Trump derangement syndrome. Blame. Everybody going to blame Trump for everything. Well, the universe is smiling and saying, well, what are you going to do about it? You're going to sit around blaming the president, or are you going to find a creative way to change your life for the better? And if that means living in your car tent storage unit, there are hundreds of videos to help you live in that situation comfortably. I'm telling you, just go to YouTube, type in, how do I live in my car comfortably? 100 videos will show up. How do I live in a tent in the homeless situation. Hundreds of videos, storage unit, hundreds of videos. So until you can get out of it, learn how to live in it comfortably without fear, without anxiety, and without depression. Otherwise, again, go back to number one, your health is your wealth. You have to maintain your health at all costs. Otherwise, you will be dead on the streets from diabetes or some. Or here's the worst: if you end up in the hospital, they don't care if you live or die. So you go in the hospital thinking they're going to help you. That's usually not going to happen these days. They're going to give you a bunch of drugs, or they're not going to take you in at all. But they're not going to help you get well as much as they're going to give you some drugs that could kill you. So we're talking reality here. These are life lessons when you're living in these situations, but don't be discouraged. You have been placed in this situation to use your creative mind to find new friends, because if you're in this situation, like LA said, you ain't got no social capital and you don't have many friends. Otherwise, you'd be living in your friend's basement. You'd be living on your friend's sofa. But if you don't have those connections, it's time to make new friends. And that means you can't be egotistical and prideful and evil and mean. You're going to have to be humble. So the life lessons for you is change. You got to be willing to make changes that will improve your situation, whether you stay in that car, tent, or storage unit or not. And then we want to help you once you find the social capital, the friends, the family, whatever. Then it's time to look for some land. That's the next step. With land, we ain't thinking about land yet until you can find people in your community who can come together and build on that land. And then from there, you'll be prosperous. If you can find enough people with the same mindset that says, we want to have land, we want to build on that land, and we want to grow a community. Now you're cooking. But first, go find the friends and the social capital and keep your health strong. Go ahead, Beasley.
Well, you know what, Sister Beata, we keep saying the same thing over and over again. And the problem is how to get there. And look, Black people are the most organized group of people in the United States. And you may not think so, because what has happened is we don't know the power we have in the race that we are in, because here's what's happening. We have been so brainwashed and so conditioned into looking outside of ourselves instead of looking inside of ourselves. Now, Sunday's coming up real soon. I bet you in every city, there's a group of people going to church, and their situation is just as bad as the homeless people. In fact, it might be worse, because homeless people are in a situation now where they can't get any lower. And these people take up money every Sunday. And I'm talking about good money. And what happened is they're one step from being homeless. And they walk right past people that we're talking about that are homeless. And they take up enough on Sundays and these denominations where I mentioned to go in and cure all of the ills that you and I are talking about. But what they're doing is they're giving the money to God on Sunday and giving it to the devil on Monday when they put it in these white banks. So it's the mindset. And I say this, I'm criticizing. And I'm criticizing these people and us brutally. Because the thing is, we have the money to do what we need to do. We just don't have the mind and the leadership to take care of these situations in cities and little small towns. Now, I go back to where I started at in this conversation. You have to go out amongst these people, and you need to find out who is willing to do better or wants to do better first. Then you go in and you find out, hey, who's willing to make the sacrifice? And once you find that out, and look, there's a moral situation in this thing too. Some people you can't help because they have bad morals. And with that being the case, that's a cure-all right there. I mean, we have the means to take care of this problem you and I are in LA is talking about.
Is there any audio? Hello, hello. All right, I can't hear anything now.
Can't hear it.
I'm
All
gonna
right, I just heard Beasley. I just heard Beasley.
I had to mute my phone because the landscape people showed up. So I'm gonna move inside my son's house so I can
So
hear
you
you.
weren't able to hear what I said.
I could hear you, but LA couldn't because I'm muted.
Yeah.
I
I'm
heard
muted.
some of what you said, Beasley. I heard some of what you said.
He heard some of what you said.
Yeah.
Well,
But
let's see.
I'm gonna move into my son's house because the landscape people showed up at this time. All this time we've been looking for them. Okay, so I hear what you're saying, Beasley. Okay, let's talk about moving out of the Black community because you're saying Black people are very organized.
Yes, we are. Every Sunday.
Okay, so are white people. Okay, but the people the people who have helped me most are not Black. Okay, so yeah, there might be some organized Black people, but there's a lot of white people who are ready to help us if we are reaching out and having conversations and being in that community. So do not limit yourself to your own community. You're gonna be stuck because the reason you're in this situation is because you haven't reached out beyond the community and you haven't made adjustments to go beyond your comfort zone. Your comfort zone might be in the Black community, but if nobody's helping you, the Black church ain't helping you, the community ain't reaching out to you, guess what? The universe is telling you to move out of the community. So don't expect to get help from your own community if you got into this situation, your car, your tent, your storage, your own family, your own Black family ain't helping you. Nobody in your family, no time to go out of the community. You will get help. And how are you going to get it? The universe will help you. When you make moves to leave your comfort zone, whether it's your food, your lifestyle, whatever, when you adjust your living to go to a place that's not so comfortable, guess what? The Creator shows up because you have made an adjustment that you've never made in your life, maybe, but you're in a situation now where you are forced to if you want to change that situation. LA, were you going to say something?
Yeah, we're at 57 minutes. So when are we going to wrap it up?
Okay, we can wrap it up. I think, like Beasley said, we have gone over it, and I'm glad you are paying attention to the time because I didn't want to go too long. But the important thing is, the three of us have come together because we care. We care because every unhoused person affects the community. Whether we go out 5 blocks and we see somebody pushing a shopping cart, have you seen them? The ones pushing a shopping cart where it seems like all their belongings in their shopping cart. That just shocks me sometimes, and yet it kind of wakes me up. And then you have people standing with the little cardboard sign, I don't have a house, blah, blah, blah. Can I have some money? It's affecting all of us. So I want to thank both of you brothers coming on just to have this conversation because it shows, I think, number one, we do care, and it hopefully will help somebody out there think about making the adjustments and learning the lessons while you're in this situation and making the changes. It's about changes. If you don't get depressed, don't get sad, you're in your car, you're in your tent, whatever. It's summertime in the United States. So that's the time to plan how you're going to not have to sleep in your car or your tent or what in the wintertime. Let's all do the planning in the summer. If you're unhoused, to get out of your situation. And we have just given you some ideas and tips, but just remember the universe loves you and the universe brings all of us. We are all in Earth School to learn lessons and to evolve and improve and grow. And this has just been some time to help you think about how you can change your situation if you're not happy with it, or at least be content in it until you have an opportunity to get out of it. So any last words, Beasley?
No, I think I've said enough.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Always nice hearing your voice. LA, we got maybe a couple of comments before we go, but LA, somebody here says, Alchemistic Goldmine says creation starts from within. And she says it's the law of the universe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is so beautiful, beautiful to remember that the law of the universe is that it starts from within, and then it's up to you to recognize that truth, that law. In fact, I was telling LA just earlier how karma. LA, what's up? This is Alchemistic. Do you know this person?
Yep.
LA, what's up? Thank you, Alchemistic, for joining us. Goldmine. This is Phil. He said this is Phil. Thank you, Phil, for joining us. I was talking to LA about the law of the universe. When it says to fear God in the Bible, that means pay attention to the law of the universe, which is reaping and sowing, karma, and you reap what you sow. So plant some powerful seeds while you're in the car. When you're not in the car, go out and plant some seeds, show gratitude, be nice to other people, and then the universe will show up. It's the law. Creation starts from within. It's all up to you to bring out your best, bring out your creative mastermind and change your situation, or be grateful in it, because that gratitude is what will bring angels and help from everywhere. If you can stay in gratitude in your car, in your tent, in your storage unit, and just find things in that situation to be grateful for, you're going to see miracles happen. That's how gratitude works, as he says, Phil said. That's the law of the universe. You're planting a seed of gratitude. You're going to get so much help, and money going to start coming. Just try it out, okay? So, LA, did you say a final word?
We're over an hour now, so we need to wrap it up.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Phil, for joining us. And all of you watching, just remember, please, to like and subscribe, because this is my major channel, YouTube, Viada's Tiny House Village. It's my lifestyle. It's my teaching that I'm giving to you, Simplify Your Life. And I do have a book From Fear to Faith in the Master Design that I want to give a promotion for, because too many people right now are showing up with cancer and they don't know what to do. Every time I go on Facebook to my breast cancer support groups, I have 3. People are showing up. People are showing up with cancer. So this book is a manual to prevent cancer, From Fear to Faith in the Master Design, and you can find it on you can find it on Amazon for $7.99 as a Kindle. And if you don't have a Kindle, you don't like reading books on your phone, I'll send you a PDF, and you can send me a Cash App at $ Viada Robinson. So I'm here to help us on this journey. I have I had a father who was a professional athlete, and so the legacy that I bring at 70 years old is health with no drugs, no medicine, and all athletic. I'm doing amazing things at 70 that I didn't do in my 50s and 40s. And this book is a gift for only $7.99 for you to prevent cancer, because it is exploding right now. And this book will help you and others prevent it as well as look at other ways to change that situation. So everybody have a great week. And we got one more comment here. Alchemistic Phil says, peace and blessings. I subscribe, like, and subscribe. Thank you, Phil. You have a great day. Pass the word. Share this if you can, because you never know who's going to be next living in their car. Thank you again, Beasley. Have a beautiful day, beautiful life. And we will see you very soon on Friday. I'll be back on Friday with health and well-being with Yada right here on this station.